So I came here last week, but it wasn't finished framing. They didn't finish framing it. So now it's all finished framed. We hung it, we taped out what we could, but I wanted to kind of explain things to you a little bit. Take a look at this wall right here. If you notice, I've got very few screws. I got one here, I've got one here, I've got one here, and that's because we glue in Northern Illinois. Everything gets glued off, and not everywhere in the state of Illinois do we have drywall inspections. There are a few towns that have drywall inspections, and this would not pass. It just wouldn't pass. They don't care about the glue. They want you, if you glued this, you would have to have 2 screws in every stud. You would have to have 2 screws, okay? So every stud, see, you can see those lines up there, those are where the studs are. You would have 2 screws. And if it was not glued, you'd have to have 3 screws. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all the way through. You would have to have 3 screws to pass their codes, their inspections. But we don't have any codes, we don't have inspections here as far as drywall is concerned. And I found glue works really, really well. And truthfully, this drywall's been up long enough right now, even if you backed out all of the screws, you're only taking this drywall off in chunks and you're chiseling it off the studs. That's how well this glue holds up. It's not coming down in a full sheet. It's just not going to happen. It's just put up there too well with the glue. So that's why I love the glue. It really seems to hold things together. Now understand, all of the butt joints are spaced out like this too, okay? You see a lot of people, they stand the walls up because they're 8 foot and they just stand them up. That's okay to do on a wall that is not a bearing wall, it's not doing any structural work or anything else, metal stud work. We stand up everything. We put the grid ceilings in, all of the drywall stood up. That's a good thing to do. We don't even glue that either. We just screw it off because truthfully, they're probably going to be changing that out in a few years. Then they can just pull the sheets off, remove the studs, and redo everything off, and without a lot of hard work. But with residential, this is all wood framing. And a lot of the wood framing is structural. It's holding your house together, and it's really carrying loads, it's carrying weight. And if I stood all of these up, and this was a load-bearing wall, which looking at it, I think this is a load-bearing wall because it's going from end to end. I mean, I can't tell exactly. Yes, because the trusses, the floor joists are coming this way, and there's a big cement wall here. So this is carrying a lot of weight. It really is. And if I just stood these up and heavy winds happened, and because this wall is carrying so much weight, this wall could shift and move with the rest of the house. If it was just a dummy wall and it wasn't carrying anything and the floor joists were going this direction, it's not going to move with the rest of the house. The angle might and the ceiling might, but the wall is not. But there's a good chance that this wall can move now, and by separating the butt joints and keeping them different, and by hanging it the way I am, this wall is way more structurally sound than if it was just stood up. Way more stronger. So whenever I'm doing residential work and whenever I'm doing wood studs, I always try to get my hangers to separate it and to do that. Now, a lot of people, well, why don't we just put the butt joint in line? Well, that's just like standing them up. You've lost the structural integrity of the wall again. By staggering them, this has got way more structural integrity. I hope I said that right. So this wall is way stronger than it would be had it just been stood up, had it been not glued. You know, it's way stronger. So that's why we do this. And truthfully, as a drywall finisher, if I have a full-length butt joint, if I have a butt joint that goes from one end of the ceiling to the other, like this, and they're not staggered like this, chances are you're going to see a hump in the ceiling. Anybody's going to walk in and see it. But when you space it out like this too, it not only makes it stronger and gives it more integrity, but it helps the taper hide it more. So these butt joints aren't just staggered because the taper doesn't want to have a big hump in the wall and wants to hide it easier. That's not the case. Mainly you stagger the butt joints for the integrity of the wall. And there's places that had drywall inspections, and if these were stood up and this was a bearing wall, they're going to say change that, lay them down. Or if these had the butt joints going in straight lines and they came in and inspected it, they're going to sit there and say, you know what, that's not code, change that. So right now, the only thing that's not code on this, as far as if it was having a wall inspection, is I don't have a gob of screws in the wall, but it's not going to be inspected. We don't have inspections here. And this is strong. This is very strong because of the glue. You guys have a great day. Hey, if you really like this video, subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, share it with somebody else. You have a great day.